This morning I was reading the Bible, no surprise, and I read 1 Timothy 4:8. Physical training is good, but training for godliness is much better, promising benefits in this life and in the life to come. Physical training is good, but training for godliness is much better. Training for godliness is much better. How do we train? How do we train for godliness? I think we think about how we train for physical fitness. It's a whole long thing. I'm not going to go into it, but I'm currently in the middle of a few different running challenges. And I'm at this place in the month where I have a goal for the month, and I don't want to go above that goal too much because the goal is based on what I ran last month. So essentially the challenge is like each month for 6 months in a row, you run at least 5 miles further than you did the previous month. I'm like a few months into that and it's really going well. But the challenge is like I really front loaded my month with mileage. And now I'm in a place where I'm running less miles because I don't want to go over. Because if I go over, I still have to run 5 miles more next month that I ran this month, but I don't want to do some crazy amount of mileage. So all of this to say, like, I have to think about this. I have to think about what my running goals are. I have to think about what my priorities are. I have to plan out my week when it comes to running. So I've really just been watching that this last week of the month. And all of that to say, like, when we are living differently, it requires us to think about what it means to live differently. We have to know what our goals are. We have to know what our priority is. Last night in our Tuesday night small group Bible study, we talked about like if we want to live in ways that honor and glorify God, we have to know what honors and glorifies God. We have to know what that mark is. We have to know what that goal is. If we want to hit it, if we want to strive for that, we have to know exactly what it is that we're striving for. In Romans 8:5, Paul writes, "Those who are dominated by the sinful nature think about sinful things, but those who are controlled by the Holy Spirit think about things that please the Spirit." Well, before I can think about things that please the Spirit, I have to know what pleases the Spirit. And the way that I know what pleases the Spirit is to abide with Jesus. This is something Pastor Cody talked about a few months ago very well. If you remember his props, if you remember his grapes, if we want to know what matters to God, we have to abide with God. We have to be in relationship with God. And then when we know that, like we have to live differently. We have to train ourselves in righteousness. We have to train ourselves in knowing what pleases God. What are the things? What are the behaviors? What are the practices? What training goes into pleasing God? In the same way for me, for running this week, I got to be really careful in the way that I do that. Like I try not to have wasted miles anyway. But I can't have any wasted miles right now. And right now, wasted miles doesn't mean running less miles. Wasted miles means running more miles. And that requires thought. I have to carefully plan out my life. And if physical fitness is of some value and training for righteousness is value in all things, then I need to spend the same amount of time, effort, and energy into, like, carefully, I'm going to cautiously say this, I have to spend the same amount of time, effort, and energy into managing my righteousness. And I don't mean my self-righteousness. I mean I need to think about the way that I live my life. I need to take time. That requires something of me. If I'm going to live differently, if I'm going to think about the things that please the Spirit, I need to know what the Spirit is pleased by, and then I need to pursue my life on that. So every action, as I'm thinking through this, happened this morning. Is this action, is this thing training me for righteousness, or is it encouraging me to think about sinful things? Is this morning's run going to help me or hurt me? And not just now, but next month. At the end of June 2025, am I going to look back on May and say, oh my goodness, I can't believe I pushed myself and ran more than I needed to? See, this is what it looks like for us to live differently. We don't just think about ourselves today, but we think about ourselves tomorrow. We think about others tomorrow. What's good for others tomorrow? How can I manage my righteousness in ways that I am setting myself up for success? How can I train myself in righteousness in ways that I am setting myself up for a win? And we're not talking about self-righteousness. We're talking about our righteousness that comes from God. God has changed me. God has transformed me. And I need to manage my righteousness. I need to think about the way that I interact with everyone and everything around me. And is this interaction pushing me towards righteousness or pushing me towards self? And this is something worth you thinking about. This is something worth me thinking about. How am I living differently? How am I planning my life? How am I planning my day to live differently? What's going to be different about the way I live my life today because I was intentional and purposeful about the way that I managed the righteousness that God has given me through the person of Jesus Christ? I love you. Praying with you and praying for you. My hope is that you will train yourself in righteousness. Talk to you again later.